Okay, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all here. Let's try and grow this family as bigger and as quickly as possible. Get everybody on the same page so we can go forward and have a decent season this year. Um, I know that my topic is part of the season planning, and it's objectives and season planning for wheelchair basketball. But before we even get into that, I have this thing which is called the three-step plan in realizing one's objective or visions. So it's basically a foundation for everybody to work on. And Jerry, Sip, and myself, this past weekend, we were engaged with the coaching instructors, and we're just trying to drive this whole thing to them so they could understand how to plan all their practices, how to plan their days and the way forward, etc., etc. And I say it's a three-step plan, but it's actually a foundation. So it's not just with basketball, it's with any sport, it's a way of life. You want to bake a cake, it's the same principles. So the first step that we'll go through is actually your vision. So what is your vision? What is your objective? Your dream, your wish? What do you inspire to be or aspire to be? The second step of that is you've obviously got to plan that. So it's either going to be a short-term plan or it's a long-term plan. A lot of us, we want to be national coaches. Let's just use that as an example. So what are the steps to becoming a national coach? First of all, we're going to teach juniors, and then we'll get into club level, provincial level, and eventually national level. So we become national and international coaches. So you need to put a plan in there. Without a vision, you have to put a plan in. And the third stage is the process in implementing and realizing the plan. So you have your vision, you have a plan to realize that vision. And what is the process in putting the plan together? So what it is now we know that we have the vision, that's our objective. Now we're looking at the plan. With the plan, I normally use a thing called the C5 principles. It's one, to be concise. And that concise means, a lot of people don't understand the definition of these words, is short and clear, expressing what one needs to be said without unnecessary words. Clear is the next one. It's the absence of cloudiness, transparent, can be seen distinctly. The next one will be committed. Number 3, it's when we talk about commitment, it's loyal and willing to give up your time to something that you believe in. Compelling, it's evoking interest, attention or admiration in a powerfully interesting way. And be consistent, acting or done in the same way over a time to be fair and accurate. So if you're using these 5 principles, write down in bullet form the actions one needs to complete or go through to realize the vision, the steps you would have to take actually to fulfill the plan. Now, the process is actually a timeline, and I call it the bridge. So anything you want to start off with, it's hard because you've got to start somewhere, and it could be finances, it could be transportation, it could be accommodation, it could be food, it could be anything, but it's always hard in the beginning. Then as people start buying into your plan, it gets better and better, i.e. you start taking on sponsors and you've got people that will financially help you or assist you in any way whatsoever, depending on what your vision is. Eventually, it does get better. You'll see on the top of the bridge there, it gets slightly better. That means that you've had people that have actually bought into your vision, bought into your plan, and you getting now constant assistance. So it's a lot easier than what it was when you first started off. Eventually, you'll get to a stage where you start going off the bridge, and now it's easy. Everybody's sort of bought into your plan, and I actually call that the total buy-in system. So you've got repetitive assistance all the time, i.e. let's look at Sassel. Sassel's been with us for a number of years. It wasn't that easy in the beginning. We had to fight very hard to get Sassel on board, but as they bought into the system, things became better and better. And now look where we are now. We're actually being assisted with Sassel Finances to run these sort of webinars. Now, this whole thing, this whole process, it's a mindset. Your mind has got to be in the right place. You need to be motivated, you need to be disciplined, and you need inspiration to actually realize your vision, your dream, and your objective. Now, it doesn't matter where you guys are going now. You're going to start doing with your pre-season planning, and you're going to end up with post-season planning, and you're going to do practices. I suggest you run on the same principle as this. Now, we will go into more depth on this sort of process at a later stage where you'll understand it a lot better. So we'll have questions about it later on at the end of this session, if there's anything that you're not clear about. So we'll get on to what we're supposed to be getting onto, and that'll be our sort of pre-season, or not pre-season, but our coaching and our objectives of wheelchair basketball, and we'll go from there. All right. Are we still there? G, can you just make this a little bit smaller, because on my screen it's too big. It's actually overshooting the screen slightly.
Not able to do so, Max, unfortunately.
All right, let me see if I can tilt it, because I'm working off a cell phone here. So let's just see if we won't just turn around. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. So, what are your coaching objectives? As a coach, you've got all aspects of the game you've actually got to look at. So, your primary objective of coaching in wheelchair basketball is to enhance the skill set of each player. Now, skill set is, we spoke about that the other day. It's broken into two sections. It's either ball skills or it's chair skills. Ball skills entails your shooting, layups, dribbling, things of that nature. And your chair skills is obviously pushing the chair, stopping the chair, tilting the chair, pick up, things of that nature. So that's how your skill set is broken up. It's broken up into two primary headings: skills and ball. So if we look at this, well, I see it's got you. It includes shooting accuracy, passing proficiency, defensive maneuvers, dribbling skills, and overall game strategy. Saying that, we've got two different types of coaches here. We have the entry-level coaches, which are now looking at the juniors, i.e. the school teachers, etc. We normally stop at skills with you, because skills is what we've really got to get going. And we've got to get them to be able to shoot correctly, push correctly, get into a chair, transferring, stopping the chair. It's all the basic fundamentals of basketball. We don't go on to tactics with the school teachers. Now, saying that, I'm not saying that you mustn't follow us carrying on, because eventually you'll work yourself up where you'll be a club coach or whatever other coach you choose to be. So carry on and just follow us through the rest of this this lecture. So when we're talking about improving shooting accuracy, we just go back to that one there, G. Shooting accuracy, that'll all fall under your shooting skills. So will your passing, your defensive maneuvers. That's now a tactic. But defense is many different defense moves. So you've got straight line defense, you have a teacup defense, you've got a zone defense. But now it's up to the coaches. How do you want to tactically play those defenses? But as we go along and we get deeper and deeper into these courses, we will start teaching you the different styles and the different drills to polish these skills. The dribbling skills, that's obviously a mixture of ball and chair, and the overall game strategy, which will just come later on in time, your overall game strategy, because there you're going to have to plan. How do you want to play your game? Have you got game plans? You've got to bring those into consideration. Again, using that principle that I just showed you, what is it you need to do? If you don't go into a game strategy with at least 4 game plans, you're a one-horse pony. but we will look at game plans and we'll get more deeper into that as we go along. The tactical understanding of a coach. Again, that is tactics and strategies. I keep telling coaches that this game is like playing chess. You've seen these chess players where they keep hitting the clock and then they've got to move within a certain time. This is the same thing with a basketball coach. Remember, you've got to outwit, outplay, and outscore your opponents. And that's only through tactics and strategies which you've actually taught the players and you've developed over a period of time through your practices. This involves the teaching of offensive plays. Offensive always means the attacking side of things. Defensive means you're going to defend the zone. How you defend the zone, and I always say to people that the objective of offense is to disrupt the defense, confuse them, create gaps, attack the gaps aggressively. That is the main word. Get in there aggressively and receive the pass. Defense, you've got to defend aggressively. The pick and roll executions, there's 12 different types of picks. And I'll go through that in another seminar with you. And the whole thing here is, when does the pick start? Where does it start? Who initiates it? Why is it being done in the position that it's being done in? And it's not just a case of a pick and roll execution. There's a whole lot that goes behind it. What is the objective of a pick and roll? It's basic. It's to create a 2-on-1 situation. Okay, fast breaks. A lot of this is self-explanatory, but again, as we go through these webinars, we'll get more and more into detail on the fast break situations, pick and rolls, defensive, offensive moves. And obviously situation awareness. Everybody needs to know their role and responsibility on court during the game. Who's doing the pick, positional play, who's doing the pass, when is it initiated? So it's quite involved. Conditioning of plays is quite vital in wheelchair basketball due to its demanding nature. Now we know if you're not fit and you're not strong and you don't have the stamina, you can't keep up with the game. If you can't do that, then it puts stress on the coaches, because now they've got to look at substitutions, timeouts to give you breather space, rest periods, water breaks, things of that nature. So I always like to pre-season stuff. So when you're looking at your season, you got to look at pre-season, in-season, and post-season. Give all your players something to work on. I don't do fitness exercises, but when I've got to do pre-season, I bring them all in. I assess their fitness, their strengths, and their abilities. Then I'll give them a program to work on. I want them to work on that program, and at least 2 or 3 times a week send me a video on their progress, and that's the way I can monitor them. And then once we get into the in-season, I can start monitoring to see if they've really done what they've done. And the first thing I always look for is the blisters on the hands. If they've got blisters on their hands, all they've done is just lied to me with videos. They've taken a couple of videos in one day and they've just split it up and sent it to me. So blisters is a sure sign that these guys have not carried out their fitness and their strengthening exercises. Okay, the role of the coach as well. We'll just go back to that last one there, G. So the role of a coach, he's got to focus on developing his players, the strength, endurance, agility, flexibility through tailored training programs. I've already discussed that. But again, is with those programs, you need to design something where you know you're going to meet the objective. And then you've got to monitor it and you've got to assess that you've met your objective. Because if you don't do that, you're just wasting everybody's time, including your own. And what is actually the objective of a coach, a team, and an individual player? It's to be the best. We want to be the best. We want to be known. We want recognition. We want to be known as the best team. We want to win that season. We want to win the league. The players, they want to be known as the best shooter, the fastest shooter, the best defender. We know how it all goes. So we'll be talking about this again in more depth as we go along through these webinars. So building a cohesive team is essential for success. Again, let's just read through it. Coaches should work on fostering a positive team culture, encouraging communication, trust, mutual respect amongst the players. That goes without saying. If the guys can't rely and depend on each other while they're on court, again, it's a lost cause. So they need to build up trust amongst themselves. And the important thing here is obviously the teamwork and selflessness. So it's not always you trying to score the basket. If somebody's open, give them the ball, let them go for it. But it's your job as a coach to develop all this within your teams, within your players. So you've got to inspire these guys to be the best versions of themselves at all times. And how you do it is get them included. You must include them in everything. I always tell coaches, include your players. Don't talk to them, don't talk at them, but talk with them. Include them, get them involved in what it is your vision is.
Max, your microphone's gone.
Okay, is it on now?
Yes, it's on.
So there you have it as well. It's the psychological preparation. It's always psychological. So, you know,
We lost you again, Max.
sorry, G, I've just got guys phoning me and it just keeps kicking me out.
Okay, we can hear you.
I can go back into it again. Dial anything. I do apologize for this, people. It's just that I'm sitting here on the border of Mozambique and South Africa, and everybody's trying to get hold of me at the same time. Okay, we're good. I'm back online again. I do apologize for that.
Yeah.
All right. So the mental toughness, you've got to try and develop them into a situation where it doesn't matter if they've put in a bad shot and they've missed the basket. Better luck next time. Just always encourage the guys and just to do their best at all times. You know, let them focus. They've got to be confident in themselves. You've got to develop that as a coach. So do a lot of one-on-one with them, sit down with them on a one-on-one, talk to them, find out what their problem is. And as a coach as well, if you can, I know it starts getting a little bit personal, but just find out what's happening at home. Because there's always things like that, which is, you know, it's the nature of the beast. They have problems at home. You can see it reflects on court in their game. So try and get into it and be somebody that's approachable, and they can come to you with whatever problem they've got, and between you can all just work through it and make everybody a lot happier, and it makes the team a lot happier at the same time. There it is, there it's support and guidance and help the players overcome their challenges. We did speak about inclusive environment where the players, all abilities, feel welcome and valued. So it doesn't matter what sort of disability they've got, get them involved, let it be fun. The problem with disabled players is that we always feel excluded. You know, everything, all the monies, everything goes towards the able body stuff. So we've got to battle along with what we've got. But let's make the most of what we've got and turn it into fun. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. It's our training facilities, equipment. Let everybody have a fair share of it. Let everybody be able to use it. I know people are a little bit selfish where that's my chair, that's my axle, those are my tires. It's not mine, it's ours. We use it for everybody. And we don't limit anybody with anything. Just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. I use Marinda as an example. I've seen the videos that she sends me from her little school in Eden. And let me tell you, those little kids, they come from all walks of life. And They're just eager to get on court, and it doesn't matter. Their wheels are flat. They push that chair. They just want to get involved. Nice one. Well done, Miranda, on that. Okay, can we move over to the next one there, Chi? We talk here about before the season begins. Now, I always break a season up into pre-season, in-season, and post-season. So this pre-season here is before the season actually begins. So again, you assess the players, bring them all in, assess their abilities. How's their skills? How's their shooting? How's their ball skills, their chair skills, their fitness, all aspects of the game. Assess them, make notes, make a file on each and every one of your players, and you've got to monitor it. So even if it means that at the end of the day, you've got to incorporate drills, clinics, fitness testing, which you will do when you brought them in for the fitness assessment and ability assessment together. You know, if I close all 5 fingers, I've got something which is very strong. That's a fist. But if you just take one of the fingers away, you have a weakness. So you've got to get them to build. You coaches have got to build them where it's one. It's all for one and one for all. And again, you've got, if you use that three-step planning system that I gave you, it'll assist you in actually preparing your players and the teams to go forward into in-season. And pre-season is always a bit of a dog because that's where the hard work starts. You know, we've just come out of Christmas and now we've got to do all the hard work. We've eaten all these pork pies and nuts and raisins and drank all this beer. Now we've got to get rid of that so that we can be fit, strong enough, and we've got the stamina to keep up with the game and not let our teammates down. Move on to the next one there, G. Now, again, we've just done preseason. Now we're going to talk about in-season. That's where all the hard work starts, guys. The problem is it doesn't just start off at a 2-hour practice on a Tuesday and a 2-hour practice on a Thursday. You've actually got to start encouraging your players to do a lot of work, fitness work, even skills training, because they can't work on tactics, but skills training, which will be the most valuable one, is the shooting outside your practices. Now, me as a coach, if I've got 2 hours, I don't do any warm-ups. If I'm coming in on court at 6 o'clock and we're running until 8 o'clock, you've got to be warm by the time I get there at 6. I don't do any fitness with these guys. I work on tactics because it's the tactics that I need to get right because that's what wins the games. But that's the in-season stuff. So just try and condition your players where they need to do a lot of work outside. I know it's a drag, getting up in the morning, pushing the chairs. They've got problems in the areas that they live in. Again, they're going to talk to you about facilities, but you can always do something where you fill up 2-liter water bottles or Coke bottles with water and use that for weights training, which is just strengthening. So don't accept any excuses. Excuses are like bums. Everybody's got one. Okay, so they emphasize on skill refinement. That's exactly what we're looking for. We need to get the skills done. Now remember, there's 2 things here that wins the games. One skill and one tactic. The one skill that we're talking about is shooting. If you can't finish, you can't win the game. You can't score baskets. And on the tactic, it's defense. So with the defense, we need to work on being strong. We need to work on being fit. And we must be able to work on speed because they've got to move up and down because the objective of offense is to confuse the defense. And you can't allow that. So the physical conditioning and ensure the peak performance during matches, very, very important. But you cannot do that during your practice sessions, guys. It takes up too much time. It's got to be done outside practice and work on that. But then you've got to monitor that it has been done. And then you just get regular feedback from your guys. Obviously, let them send you videos. Speak to them, phone them, talk to them. How's it going? How's your drills going? How's your practice going? How's your training going? Because the moment you have this trust thing with them, they won't lie to you. And just try and get that sort of trust going between yourself and your players. They won't lie to you if they trust in you and you trust in them. Next one, G. Game analysis. Sure. Guys, it's very difficult to do game analysis if you don't know all aspects of the game. If you don't know how a pick is done properly, how can you see that there was a problem when the pick was actually executed? And I'm just using a pick as an example. Was the chap that did the pick facing the wrong way? Was he in the wrong position? Had he picked the chair on the wrong place? It's things like that. So if you don't know all aspects of the game, you can't rectify it if you don't know what you're looking for. So it is very important that you need to do research as coaches. Once you know the basics on defense and offense, you need to know what you're looking for. Please just get onto YouTube, get onto the internet and start following games. And I'm going to press this all the time, and you're going to find all the instructors are going to be saying to you, research, research, research. Because to make yourself a better coach, you can't just do that in 4 hours a week, and you need to do a lot of homework yourself. Even though your athletes are getting fit outside practices, it's your job to make yourself a better version of yourself by watching videos of other teams. Get onto the Olympics, get onto World Cup stuff, follow teams overseas, and then slow down these videos and see. Jerry and I did this exercise once before, and if you can slow it down, and I'm sure you can slow down the thing, you'll be able to see the guy was out of position. He passed the ball too late. Wrong passing, wasn't looking where he was passing. The chap that did the pick, he picked too late, or he didn't break it. Where did you win the game, or where did you start losing the game? Where did the game start turning around where you were losing and all of a sudden you started winning? What was it? Was it your fitness? Was it your stamina? Was it your strength? Was it your tactics? Was it your game plan? It's all sorts of things that go into the aspect of game analysis. So, and you've got to look at all aspects. You've got to look at your offense, their offense, their defense, your defense, transition, your transition, their transition. Normally in the national teams, or even sometimes on your club sides and your provincial sides, there's 3 coaches. You've got a head coach, a defensive coach, and an offensive coach. And those people have got to be looking at the offense of both teams, the defense of both teams, and giving the head coach feedback. Even though he's watching the whole game in its entirety, he can't see everything. So he needs the feedback where now all of a sudden, that guy's not doing his job properly. Let's sub him, bring him off, let's talk to him, let's put somebody else on. That's where the analysis comes in. But that there is a lecture just on its own. So as we get deeper and deeper into this, we'll start looking at game analysis. All right, so we see that throughout the season, coaches should be focused on individual player development. We've already discussed that. Assess them as individuals, give them exercises to do, and monitor that they're doing it. And then when you bring them back into camps or into your practices, again, this is all preseason stuff. Well, not just preseason, but you're getting them prepared for the in-season. And then when you finished in-season, give them stuff to work on post-season, which is now that the tournaments and all the games are finished. You just give them stuff to work on, just keep themselves on a level of fitness where it's not hard when they come back into preseason again. And just try and develop these players to the best of their abilities, their full potential. If you need to identify specialist shooters, 3-pointers, field goal shooters, specialist ball carriers, specialist defenders, pickers, just get them to their full potential. And you'll see this will all fall into play for you, and it works in a game situation. Like it
Max,
says here, it might involve extra skill sessions. You do that, but that's where you start bringing in your drills. Remember, your drills are there to polish your skills and to polish your tactics. Make them fun so they're not boring. Change them up. Maybe 5 or 6 skills or drills, which actually helps you with 3 or 4 skills. I use a thing called the caterpillar. We'll talk about the caterpillar at a later stage. But that one there is, I've got two teams lined up. They pass the ball. They've got to pivot to the left, pivot to the right. So there, what I'm working on is I'm working on the passing. I'm working on communication because they've got to shout their names out. I'm working on speed. I'm working on pivoting. And I'm working on strength and stamina because it's done with speed. But it's just one of the drills that I do. So I'm trying to kill 5 different skills with one drill. And I just make them do repetition, 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 because that's the way I'm going to build the stamina, the fitness, and the strength in the guys.
Max,
If you've got to do one-on-one coaching,
Max,
there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Sorry, Marinda has a question.
G?
Yeah. Marinda has a question.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, Max. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask questions in between. I would just like to know. I like the idea where you said a file system for each, because I'm working mostly of children, but it is quite good to have a file system. Do you maybe have a list of what we can assess them of, like an easier list, if it makes sense, like a general list, how you can, on what do you assist them in the beginning, and then what to check on later, like how much shooting or what the speed and things. So I think that's great. I think it's great to open a file for each learner, but not in such a way like you do with the clubs or maybe the advanced, but just in a basic thing. So where would you start? You don't have to answer it now, but if we can get a list of where to start assisting the learners. Then the second question is, how much time would you say we on the school base should allocate, like especially the pre-season, on warming up, playing skills, all those stuff?
If you look at the kids, they're not too concerned about warming up and skills and whatever. They just want to get in there and jungle ball and throw that ball around. That's their main concern. But unfortunately, that's not what basketball's all about. You've got to start somewhere. So we've got to get that skill development, and that's very important on the skills development. So you've got to break it up. It depends on how long is your practice at the end of the day.
Marinda,
Okay.
yeah, that will lead into Sipa Mandla's presentation where he covers exactly this topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, but we'll talk about it on a one-on-one basis later on if you want to. But let's just see what information we pick up from SEPA, and I hope that'll help you going forward as well. Gee, let's just go back to that last one there. We're talking about one-on-one coaching. It's important that while you're in practices, that you look at each and every individual player. You might find there's something wrong with this guy's layups. He's a brilliant basketball player, but he can't do a layup. Why can't he do a layup? And that's where you've got to look at that, and you've got to do one-on-one coaching and get it right. Okay, you've got to actually be able to identify the problem areas and then work on those problem areas with, and I've just given you an example, just layups. And you got to work with that player and make sure that eventually he can do a layup. He's confident to do a layup. He's focused when he's doing his layup. It's his approach, his attack, his body position. You've got to look at all aspects of that. So this one-on-one coaching, I always find it very, very important. When I was coaching the national teams here, I had another coach with me, And I would say to him, carry on with the session. And I would take the players out and work with them separately at the other end of the court and just work on that problem area. So, yes, if that's what it takes, that's what it needs, then so be it. But do it for everyone. As long as you've identified a problem area, then work with them one-on-one. Again, with the specialized training drills, you can give it to them as individuals or you can do it as a team exercise. Okay. This thing where you've got to look at player safety and well-being by implementing injury prevention protocols and monitoring players' physical health throughout the season. Guys, it's important with the we actually spoke about this on the weekends, warm-ups. What is the objective of a warm-up and what is the objective of a warm-down or a cool-down? So with the warm-up, you want to get the heart rate up so the blood is pumping. It's pumping blood to all the muscles. That way, when we do stretching exercises, nobody gets hurt. We don't tear muscles, things of that nature. On the warming down or the cooling down, the warming up, you go from slow to fast. And on the cooling down or warming down, you go from fast to slow. Because during your practice, you have built up lactic acid in the system. And why we want to burn that off so that we don't have stiffness the next day is you go from fast to slow and you burn off as much of the lactic acid as you possibly can. But also saying that, you've also got to be looking for pressure sores. With you teachers and the kids, be careful of transferring from chair to chair or from a bed to a chair. If they bump themselves or scratch themselves, there's possibilities of pressure sores. People die through pressure sores if they're not attended to immediately. There will be, I'm sure Jerry will bring something on with pressure sore care and healthcare on that. But you've got to look at the whole health, whole condition of your players all the time. If they're feeling a bit snotty, if you can see that they're a little bit lethargic, hold them one side, find out what's going on with them. Don't let them practice if they've got flu. Just know we have heart conditions and people die on court, and we don't need that sort of thing. All right, and work very, very closely with the medical staff. As a rule, when I was the national coach, I never did any warm-ups or warm-downs with any of my players. I let my physiotherapist do it. But I told them I'm looking for the heart rate to go up. That's what I'm looking for. I wanted my players to be, when they get on court, they're already hot. They warmed up. That they've already done 15 minutes. They've done 2 quarters, basically. Because I always found that if we weren't warmed up properly, it took us the second and the third quarter before we ever got started into the game. But by that time, it's too late. So just look at your medical side of it and work very closely with your medical staff. Also, with you teachers, watch out with your CPs. Okay, just be very careful with CPs. When you see the eyes starting to glaze over, take them off, give them ice packs, etc., etc. I think we're the only country in the world that actually lets CPs play. I could be mistaken, but I did hear that at one stage. So monitor the health conditions of each one of your players and assess them while they're playing. Okay, so we intensify training sessions and fine-tune game strategies to the peak at the right time. This is all sort of in-season stuff, okay? So what I've done as a coach is I run my guys for 40 minutes. I run them hard for 10 minutes. I give them 2-minute break, water break, but I'm running them, but I'm just working on my tactics. I need them all to be on the same page. So I'm mentally preparing them. I need to get them focused. I need to get them fit. Now, I'm not going to do fitness exercises where they're going to start doing drills. We're just going to run, and run hard. These guys will know that the moment they start getting sick on my court, if they still want to be part of my team, it's up to them to get out there other than our practices and get themselves fit, because they know that these training sessions are going to be hard. It's not a walk in the park. But that's just me with the national teams. You with the clubs, you've obviously got different ideas. If it works for you, use it. If it doesn't work for you, change it. After the season concludes, coaches should conduct a thorough evaluation of individual team performance. They solicit feedback from players and staff to identify strengths and weaknesses, areas for improvement. Okay, so this would be most probably your post-season stuff, where you've actually seen their faults, their strengths, their weaknesses, what they can work on and what they can't work on. And that's where we come back to you, Marinda. You've done a file on these people. You know exactly what's happening with them. You're assessing them in all aspects of their games and their practices. Now, in post-season, you give them exercises, drills and stuff to work on those weaknesses so they can be better versions of themselves when they come back into pre-season. And we work on that. But you've always got to be on top of it. You've got to be the sergeant. You've got to have your finger on the pulse. You've got to be monitoring this on a daily, a weekly, a monthly basis. And you must keep a file on these guys right throughout the year. Otherwise, how do you know what the progress is if you're not assessing them correctly? Okay, so, but we'll get into that and we'll start teaching you how to run a file on each one of your athletes. Can we go on? Right. In summary, with coaching objectives in wheelchair basketball, very important, skill development. If you can't do skills, you can't do tactics. When we talk about the skills, if you can't shoot and finish, you can't win games. If you can't push a chair, you can't do a man-to-man or fast breaks or anything of that nature. Tactical understanding, you'll have got to understand exactly what your objective is. Why are you doing a pick on that side and not a pick on that side? Why are you doing a man-to-man? Why are you doing a boxing in? Why are you doing boxing out? It's all tactics that will assist you in winning the game. Remember, we spoke about being a chess player and a chess game. The physical condition of your players. Were they physically conditioned? Could they keep up with the game? I've had games here where we've played green and gold where I've not. Okay, this is just me. I'm not saying you must all do this. My attitude, if it's not broken, I don't fix it. If that first five is doing okay, I leave them. They must just carry on and do what they're doing best. They're scoring, they're defending, and I'm winning the game. If that starts changing, where I start losing the game, my guys aren't keeping up with it, that's when I'll start looking at the subs. And if I don't have to use the full bench, I don't use the full bench. But that's just me. Psychological preparation and inclusivity, I include my guys in everything that we do. I tell them exactly what my objective is, how I'm going to achieve it, my plan, and I try and get total buy-in on that. My pre-season preparation is exactly the same. My regular season management, it's slightly different because it's more intense, because now we're in season and we're in game situations. I do game analyzing. As a coach now, I watch 2 to 3 games every week, but it's different countries, different teams, and I just look at it and find out where did they go wrong? Where did this game go wrong for this one? They were winning. What happened there? And I just look at all aspects of the game. But like I said earlier on, we will teach you how to do game analysis. All right. Injury prevention, guys. If you're fit, it's very unlikely that you're going to get. It's very likely you're going to get, or unlikely you're going to get injured. So work on strengths and work on fitness. Late season preparation, sure. I don't really work on late season preparation. Everything is pre-planned and I know exactly where we're going to. My post-season evaluation and my preparation, I work on that same principle I showed you guys earlier on, the 3-step plan. So I've already pre-planned everything. I know where I'm going. And remember, if the plan doesn't work or your objective is not working, you don't change the vision, you don't change the process, you change the plan. Remember, the process is there to implement the plan. So I will change the plan, nothing else. Okay, where we is that next one there, G?
No, that's you done now.
Okay, well, what we'll do is, like I have said before, there's a lot of stuff that I have discussed, but we'll go into in-depth webinars on these particular subjects, and I hope it'll be a lot more clearer for you. Just remember that you have pre-season training, you have in-season training, and you have post-season training. And all it is just to keep your athletes better versions of themselves by getting fitter, stronger, working as a team, communicating as a team, defending as a team, and let's just go out there and strive to be better versions of ourselves. I'm open to any queries or discussions that anybody wants to ask.
Yeah, thank you very much, Max, for that presentation. And yeah, as Max said, any comments, questions? Now's your opportunity to go ahead.
You couldn't have all bought into that plan. Impossible.
Yeah, guys, don't be shy. Max does look like a mean guy, but he's very passionate about wheelchair basketball. So he will definitely help you.
Even if you don't want to talk on this platform, you can inbox me separately and ask me questions. I will help you with that.
All right, Max. Well, it looks like you got off lightly this evening. Thank you very much for your time and for that presentation. Again, folks, I will upload this after the session. Yeah, so if there isn't any further questions or queries, we'll then move on to Sipho Ngumbi's presentation. But
Are you
again,
sure there's anybody on this?
no, there are.